I love America, I love Russia, and I am trying very hard to work in such a way where we can have more meaningful discussions and, strive to make better and better relations.
From aikido sensei to action star, Seagal's explosive rise. Imagine a world where Steven Seagal, once the epitome of American action heroes, now holds Russian citizenship and counts Vladimir Putin among his friends. Sounds unbelievable, right? But this shocking reality is just the tip of the iceberg in Seagal's tumultuous journey. Let's rewind the clock. How did a ponytailed martial arts instructor transform into Hollywood's most unexpected action star? Seagal's story begins not on a movie set, but in a dojo. With a 7th degree black belt in aikido, Seagal wasn't just another martial artist, he was a prodigy. In fact, he shattered cultural barriers by becoming the first American to teach aikido in Japan, a country notoriously protective of its traditions. But Hollywood in the late 80s was a fortress, its gates guarded by muscle-bound action heroes like Schwarzenegger and Stallone. Breaking in seemed impossible for an unknown like Seagal. Yet, his unique blend of martial arts mastery and stoic charisma caught the eye of a few visionary producers. They saw something different, an action hero who could snap limbs with balletic grace. In 1988, Above the Law hit theaters, and audiences were mesmerized. For the first time, American moviegoers witnessed the fluid, devastating techniques of aikido on the big screen. Seagal moved unlike any action star before him, dispatching bad guys with a cold efficiency that was both terrifying and captivating. The gamble paid off spectacularly. Above the Law raked in $19 million domestically, an impressive feat for a debut film with an unknown lead. Overnight, Seagal went from obscure martial arts instructor to Hollywood's newest sensation. As Seagal's star rocketed skyward, few could have predicted the dark storms gathering on the horizon. His rapid ascent to fame would be matched only by the speed and intensity of his fall from grace. But that's a story of ego, controversy, and shocking allegations. One we're about to dive into head first. The peak of fame, Seagal's reign as the tough guy. As the 1990s dawned, Hollywood's action landscape was a sea of bulging biceps and one-liners. But amidst this testosterone-fueled chaos, a ponytailed figure emerged, bringing a deadly art form never before seen on the big screen. Steven Seagal's unique blend of aikido and stoic intensity set him apart from his wisecracking peers, captivating audiences in a way no one expected. Seagal's rise to stardom wasn't just about breaking bones, it was about breaking the mold. While Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone flexed their way through explosions, Seagal moved with a fluid grace that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. His aikido-based fight scenes were a far cry from the typical Hollywood brawl, showcasing a level of martial arts expertise that left viewers in awe. But it wasn't just Seagal's fighting style that made him stand out. His serious demeanor was a stark contrast to the quip-happy action heroes of the time. While others cracked jokes, Seagal remained stone-faced, delivering lines with a deadpan intensity that somehow made him even more intimidating. This unique combination of physical prowess and unwavering seriousness struck a chord with audiences hungry for something different. Seagal's early 90s filmography reads like a checklist of tough guy essentials. Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, and Out for Justice all hit theaters in quick succession, each title a 3-word promise of bone-crunching action. These films may not have been critical darlings, but they cemented Seagal's status as a force to be reckoned with at the box office. Then came 1992, and with it, the film that would define Seagal's career, Under Siege. Described by critics as Die Hard on a battleship, this high-octane thriller saw Seagal trading blows with Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey. The result? A massive hit that grossed over $156 million worldwide, catapulting Seagal into the upper echelons of Hollywood stardom. Under Siege wasn't just a financial success, it was a critical one too. To this day, it remains Seagal's only film to receive a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. For a brief shining moment, it seemed Seagal had achieved the impossible, critical acclaim and commercial success in the often derided action genre. But as Seagal's star rose, so did his ambitions. The massive success of Under Siege gave him unprecedented clout in Hollywood, and he was eager to flex his newfound power. He began taking more control over his projects, a move that would have far-reaching consequences for his career. As the mid-90s approached, Seagal stood at a crossroads. He had conquered Hollywood on his own terms, bringing aikido to the masses and proving that an action hero could be both lethal and stoic. But the very traits that had made him a star, his seriousness, his control, his unwavering confidence, were about to become liabilities. The fall begins: ego, controversies, and career missteps. Just as Seagal reached the top, the ground beneath his feet began to crumble. His next moves would shock fans and frustrate industry insiders. What caused this action star to go from box office dynamite to direct-to-video disappointment in just a few short years? After the massive success of Under Siege, Seagal was riding high. He had proven himself as a bankable action star, and now he wanted more control over his projects. But as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for. In 1994, Seagal made his directorial debut with On Deadly Ground. The film was supposed to be his masterpiece, a chance to showcase not just his martial arts skills, but also his environmental message. However, things didn't quite go as planned. On Deadly Ground was met with harsh criticism. Despite its environmental themes, the movie failed to impress. Roger Ebert summed it up best when he said, "If you like seeing stuff blown up real good, this is a movie for you." It seemed Seagal's message got lost in the explosions, but the real trouble was brewing behind the scenes. Reports started surfacing about Seagal's difficult behavior on set. He was gaining a reputation for being hard to work with, and his ego was apparently getting out of control. This reputation came to a head in 1991 when Seagal hosted Saturday Night Live. It turned out to be a disaster. Cast members like David Spade and Tim Meadows later called him the worst host ever. They said he was humorless and difficult to work with. Julia Sweeney, another cast member, shared a story that really highlights the problem. She said Seagal insisted on doing a sketch about a serious topic, completely missing the point of comedy. It seems Seagal just couldn't understand the concept of not taking himself seriously. But the problems weren't limited to comedy shows. On movie sets, Seagal's behavior was causing issues too. There were reports of him hitting stunt performers during scenes. Actor Michael Jai White, who worked with Seagal, confirmed that this was a known problem in the industry. Seagal's insistence on controlling every aspect of his films was also causing friction. He would reportedly change scenes on the fly, frustrating directors and crew members. It's not hard to see why people might not want to work with him. As Seagal's reputation worsened, his star power began to fade. By 1998, he was no longer headlining major productions. Instead, he found himself starring in direct-to-video films like The Patriot. It was a far cry from his Under Siege days. This shift marked a significant decline in Seagal's career. He went from being a box office draw to a direct-to-video actor in just a few short years. It was a fall from grace that shocked many in Hollywood, but perhaps the most surprising thing about Seagal's decline is that it wasn't just about his difficult behavior or his box office performance. There were darker secrets lurking beneath the surface, secrets that would soon come to light and further damage his already tarnished reputation. Dark shadows, allegations, and public image destruction. Behind Seagal's tough guy image lurked a sinister reality. As his career crumbled, women began to speak out about experiences that painted a disturbing picture of the action star. What shocking allegations would emerge to turn Seagal from Hollywood hero to industry pariah? For years, Steven Seagal's on-screen persona was that of a righteous warrior, defending the weak and punishing the wicked. But as his star began to fade, a very different image of Seagal started to emerge. Women from various backgrounds in the entertainment industry began to come forward with stories that were far from heroic. One of the most high-profile allegations came from actress Portia de Rossi. She shared a troubling encounter with Seagal during an audition. According to de Rossi, Seagal unzipped his leather pants and made inappropriate comments about the importance of having chemistry off-screen. This unsettling behavior was a far cry from the noble characters Seagal portrayed in his films. Juliana Margulies, another respected actress, had her own story to tell. She described Seagal as a predator who took advantage of young actresses. Margulies recounted a disturbing incident where Seagal showed her a gun in his hotel room, making her feel unsafe and vulnerable. These stories painted a picture of a man who used his power and influence in Hollywood to intimidate and harass women. The allegations against Seagal weren't limited to recent years. As far back as 1991, Warner Brothers employees accused him of sexual harassment. Some of these cases resulted in out-of-court settlements, suggesting that Seagal's problematic behavior had been an open secret in Hollywood for decades. Seagal's reputation took another hit when stories of his on-set behavior came to light. Stunt performers alleged that he would intentionally hit them during scenes, going beyond the boundaries of staged combat. This behavior not only endangered the safety of his co-workers, but also showed a disturbing disregard for their well-being. The floodgates truly opened in 2018, when several more allegations resurfaced. Actress Rachel Grant came forward with accusations of sexual assault during the production of a film. The sheer number of women speaking out against Seagal made it impossible for Hollywood to ignore the issue any longer. As these stories came to light, Seagal's already declining career took a nosedive. The man who once commanded millions per movie found himself effectively blacklisted from mainstream Hollywood. Studios and producers, once eager to work with the action star, now distanced themselves from him. The impact on Seagal's finances was significant. At the height of his career, Seagal was one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. But as the controversies mounted and his star power faded, his net worth took a massive hit. Today, estimates put Seagal's net worth at around $14 million, a fraction of what he once commanded. Seagal's fall from grace wasn't just about lost movie roles or smaller paychecks. It represented a fundamental shift in how Hollywood and the public viewed him. The tough guy image he had carefully cultivated over decades was shattered, replaced by a much darker and more troubling persona. Seeking new spotlights, reality TV, music and politics. With Hollywood's doors closed, Seagal set his sights on new territory. How does a washed-up action star reinvent himself? For Seagal, the answer involved a badge, a guitar, and an unexpected friendship with a world leader. As Seagal's movie career crumbled, he looked for other ways to stay in the spotlight. In 2009, he surprised everyone by starring in a reality TV show called Steven Seagal Lawman. The show followed Seagal as he worked as a reserve deputy sheriff in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. Steven Seagal Lawman was a hit when it first aired. The premiere episode drew in 3.6 million viewers, making it the best season opener for any original A&E series ever. But the show wasn't without controversy. In one episode, Seagal drove a SWAT tank into a suspect's house during a raid. This led to a lawsuit against Seagal when a puppy was accidentally killed during the incident. Despite the initial success, Seagal's role as a lawman was more for show than anything else. He had trained deputies in martial arts and marksmanship back in the late 1980s, but his current rank was mostly symbolic. It seemed that even in his new career, Seagal couldn't escape criticism and controversy. But Seagal wasn't done surprising his fans. In a move that left many scratching their heads, he decided to pursue a music career. In 2004, he released his first album, Songs from the Crystal Cave. The album was a mix of pop, world, country, and blues music. He even managed to get Stevie Wonder to collaborate with him on one of the tracks. 2 years later, Seagal released a second album called Mojo Priest. While Seagal seemed passionate about his music, critics and fans weren't as enthusiastic. His transition from action star to blues musician was met with more confusion than applause. As if reality TV and music weren't enough, Seagal also ventured into the world of politics. But his political interests took an unexpected turn. Instead of getting involved in American politics, Seagal developed a close friendship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Seagal's admiration for Putin raised eyebrows in the US. He publicly called Putin one of the great living world leaders and strongly supported Russia's actions, including the controversial annexation of Crimea. These statements didn't go over well with many of his American fans. In 2016, Seagal's connection to Russia deepened when he was granted Russian citizenship. But things got even stranger when the Russian government appointed him as a special envoy to the US. This new role kept Seagal in the public eye, but not in the way he might have hoped. Seagal's political statements became increasingly controversial. He claimed that over half of the people in America actually love Russia, and accused the US of spreading disinformation about Russia. These comments further damaged his reputation in the US and left many wondering about his true motivations. Through all these career changes, Seagal seemed unable to recapture the success he once had in Hollywood. His ventures into reality TV, music, and politics often led to more criticism than praise. The man who was once known for breaking bones on screen was now breaking ties with the country that made him a star. The aftermath. A tarnished legacy. Steven Seagal's fall from grace was as dramatic as any of his on-screen fights. But what really happened behind the scenes? The aftermath of Seagal's choices paints a grim picture of a tarnished legacy and leaves us asking, can a fallen star ever truly rise again? Today, Steven Seagal's career is a shadow of its former glory. The action star who once commanded millions per movie now finds himself relegated to the world of low-budget, direct-to-video projects. In 2016 alone, Seagal starred in 7 films that never made it to theaters in North America. It's a stark contrast to his heyday when he was a box office draw. But Seagal's decline isn't just about his fading star power in Hollywood. His controversial political statements have further damaged his reputation, especially in the United States. Seagal's vocal support for Russia's actions in Crimea led to significant backlash. In fact, his pro-Russian stance was so strong that Ukraine banned him from entering the country, viewing him as a threat to national security. Speaking of Russia, Seagal's friendship with Vladimir Putin has raised eyebrows and further alienated him from many of his American fans. It's a strange turn of events for a man who once embodied American tough guy heroism on screen. Seagal's attempts to reinvent himself outside of acting haven't fared much better. Did you know he tried to launch his own energy drink? Steven Seagal's lightning bolt was supposed to be his next big thing, but it fizzled out faster than you can say Under Siege 3. He also tried his hand at a line of therapeutic oils, but that venture didn't gain much traction either. In a particularly embarrassing incident, Seagal found himself in hot water with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. In 2020, he settled charges for failing to disclose payments he received for promoting an initial coin offering. It was another blow to his already damaged reputation. Despite all these setbacks, there's still occasional buzz about potential comebacks. Rumors of projects like Above the Law 2 pop up now and then, but they seem more like wishful thinking than realistic prospects. The truth is, Seagal's name no longer carries the weight it once did in Hollywood. Looking back at Seagal's career trajectory, it's hard not to see it as a cautionary tale about the fragility of fame. His story illustrates how quickly the tide can turn in Hollywood, especially when personal controversies overshadow professional achievements. Seagal went from being a respected martial artist and action star to a figure more often discussed for his off-screen antics than his on-screen performances. The sad irony is that many of Seagal's most ardent fans from the 90s now view him with a mix of nostalgia and disappointment. They remember the thrill of watching him effortlessly take down bad guys on screen, but that image is tainted by the controversies and questionable choices that followed. In the end, Steven Seagal's legacy is complicated. He introduced mainstream American audiences to aikido and brought a unique style to action films. But his fall from grace serves as a reminder that in Hollywood, your personal brand is just as important as your professional skills. One wrong move, one controversial statement, and years of hard work can unravel in an instant. The lessons of Steven Seagal's story. Steven Seagal's story is a sobering reminder of how quickly fame can fade. From a martial arts expert to a Hollywood action star, Seagal's rise was meteoric. But his fall was just as dramatic. His difficult behavior on set, shocking allegations of misconduct, and questionable career choices all played a part in his downfall. Seagal's journey teaches us hard lessons about the entertainment industry. It shows how personal conduct can overshadow professional achievements. His story also highlights the fleeting nature of celebrity status and the potential consequences of unchecked ego. Today, Seagal is more known for his controversies than his acting. His friendship with Vladimir Putin and his Russian citizenship are a far cry from his days as an American action hero. Seagal's tale serves as a cautionary example of how a star's choices can lead to a complete rebranding, for better or worse.